Hey guys, Mark here, Animus Empire. This week we're talking about competition. You see it there. Competition is a topic that not a lot of psychologists talk about, at least not in a favorable way. But in this video, we're going to talk about how competition, when incorporated into your life in a healthy way, is going to be a great tool in your arsenal in psychological freedom, in your quest for psychological freedom and, dare I say, strength. A great movie that indicates the power of competition, how we can use it to our own advantage, is, of course, the movie Bloodsport, with Jean-Claude Van Damme, JCVD, an American guy goes to fight in an underground martial arts tournament. And you know it's a movie from the 80s when an American guy fights in a secret underground martial arts tournament, perhaps to the death. In Bloodsport, it's called the Kumite. And nobody believes that Jean-Claude Van Damme comes from this ancient Japanese school tradition of fighting called Tanake. Katana, Tanake, one of those two. Nobody believes him because, of course, JCVD is a white guy. So he's constantly proving himself. He's proving who he is. He's proving his identity throughout the competition, throughout the Kumite, and he finally gets his chance when he fights the Chinese bodybuilder Chong-li, not Chun-li, Chong-li, Chinese bodybuilder who can do the pec dance in a great way. I'm not going to do it now because I want to keep this as professional as possible. But Chong-li realizes that he's losing, throws some crushed salt pellets into JCVD's face. JCVD cannot see. He must defeat Chong-li on instinct alone, on sense alone, or the four senses besides sight, and he does, and this proves once and for all that he is indeed trained in the ancient, proud tradition of the Tanake, because of course, as we all know, part of Tanake fighting, or Tanake training, is training blindfolded without the use of your eyes. The competition, the Kumite competition brought out something, and JCVD allowed him to push through barriers, allowed him to push through fear. And that is the point of competition. It helps us push through fear. More specifically, it helps us to turn it off. I'm going to show you specifically what I mean by this. Here's your brain. Here's your eye here. Here's your frontal cortex here. Let's just say parietal lobe, occipital lobe. Your cerebellum's down here. Where does fear come from? Fear comes from about here. This point in your brain. This part in your brain, But something else relies on the same circuitry. And that is anger. Fear and anger are on the same circuitry. Not exactly the same, but close enough. And that's great news for us. Because this means if we want to turn off the fear, literally turn it off, what do we need to do? Get in touch with our anger. This is the HPA axis, amygdala, prefrontal cortex, that whole axis in there. Thalamus, hypothalamus, in case you're wondering. But we get in touch with our anger and it turns off the fear. The problem, however, is we can't just get in touch with the anger because oftentimes the fear covers it. We are afraid of our anger. A huge problem with especially millennial, younger men. We are afraid of our anger. We are afraid of our needs. We are afraid of asserting ourselves, especially with other men. So we need a tool, some sort of boring tool. Not boring like this video, but a tool that gets at the anger through the fear, to turn on the anger, turn off the fear, quite literally, so we can push through our fear. And that tool to do this is competition. It gets us through the fear to the anger. I just got back from the Galapagos Islands, and what do we think of when we think of the Galapagos? Giant tortoises, perhaps, but we also think of Charles Darwin. That is where he had his aha moment. That's where he, first realized how evolution could have happened. Of course, he didn't discover evolution, just to be clear. He discovered the mechanism through which evolution could potentially happen. And he had this aha moment on the Galapagos Islands, and that was when he was 21 or 22. And he didn't publish Origin of Species till much later. He was sitting on this theory for 20 years, collecting data, unsure of himself mostly, creative avoidance. You know, we all do that. He was creatively avoiding what he needed to do, which was to publish this theory, and he was going to do it posthumously. But something happened. Alfred Russel Wallace happened. Another fine English gentleman studying in Indonesia, or Sumatra, whatever it was called back then. He got wind that Alfred Russel Wallace, also discovered a similar mechanism that could cause evolution, and this made Darwin angry. This anger, this competition with this young upstart, Alfred Russel Wallace, is what got him to publish Origin of Species. And it's a good thing, because the theory probably wouldn't have had much traction if it was published posthumously, because Darwin had to do a lot of defense of his theories that nobody else really could have done, because he had all the data. Well, he was at least more intimate with all the data, more intimate than anybody else would have been. Probably still would have gotten traction, but it would have taken a lot longer. It was the competition with Wallace that really revolutionized society. It wasn't just the theory of descent through modification. Descent with modification with descent, one of those. Anyways, it was the competition, and that's the point. It taps into us. It taps something into us that just thinking about it or just confronting our anxiety never really will, or never really would on its own. So incorporate this into your life. If you have social anxiety, and if you're a 20-year-old man, you have social anxiety, probably woman too, create a competition out of it. Get you and a couple of your buddies together, and if you go to a party, whoever talks to the most amount of people at that party wins something. It doesn't matter what it is. Most of the time it's just, winning for the sake of winning. It's fun. It's okay. Just incorporate it in your life in a healthy way, and you can really use it to really become psychologically strong and improve yourself. So this is it, guys. This is competition. We need it to tap into the anger, to quite literally turn off the fear. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Be back next week with another video. And in the meantime, keep getting as competitive as you possibly can until you can defeat even a Chinese bodybuilder in a martial arts tournament, even without the use of your eyes.